If you're off-roading in a truck or SUV, you've probably realized that your spare tire is in the least accessible place if you get stuck. For the 4Runner, the solution came in the 90s with a factory option tire swing out that could be mounted on the quarter panel. But like many trucks, mine doesn't have that option. So I got this, the Rigged Supply UltraSwing. I've had it on the truck for a few months now, took it on a couple trips, so here's what I think about it. So, just so you know what we're looking at, this is a universal tire mount and swing out that mounts directly to a 2-inch trailer hitch. It also retains the hitch so you can still tow a trailer, and it gives you an accessory one so you can mount things like bike racks. I originally went with this one because these things are a lot of money, and having a universal one means that I can move it to the next rig later down the line. Most other options for my 4Runner, I would have been looking at a custom bumper that would have had to have been sold with the rig. So now I've future-proofed myself a little bit, and just because this thing is universal doesn't mean it's flimsy. This is a beefy boy. In fact, that's one of the reasons it costs so much more than the kind of stuff that you can get at Camping World or Walmart. Rigged has put in a lot of R&D to this, but at $1,500, that's a lot of cost to justify. So let's see if we can find reasoning for all of it, huh? One of the things they've spent the most time on is the locking handle. At first, I thought this was kind of just a gimmick. I mean, who spends that much time on one handle for a piece so big? But then I started to get what it was all about. This is the piece that you're going to touch the most often. It has to hold up to daily driving and off-roading, and it has to be easy enough to use with one hand. And so far, I think that is all the case. It weirds me out that it doesn't have any kind of locking pin. And honestly, it is just a bit too stiff for me to the point where I've been closing it with my knee more often than with my hand. They had to make it so stiff because it doesn't have a locking pin, and I wonder if that's going to wear out over time. The same thing with the actual swing out. You don't really need to lock it in place because the actual hinge is so stiff, although it does have the place for locking pin if you'd like. Just make sure you're swinging the swing out wide enough because I scratched mine on the tailgate pretty quickly. Behind the tire is space for all kinds of accessories that Rigged Supply makes. I haven't added any of those yet, but they have stuff for roto packs, fold-out tables, high lifts, you name it. Anything you want, you can put on this, and it's all supported by your 2-inch hitch. Now, you might be worried that because this is hitch-mounted, it'll bounce around. Well, Rigged Supply includes a vibration isolator that kind of wedges into the hitch as you mount it. It doesn't do a perfect job. I still get vibration in mine at about 70 miles an hour, but you know, I drive an 80s 4Runner, so 70 miles an hour is pretty rare. Also, there are multiple holes for the locking pin, so if I pushed it into my hitch further, I think I could change the frequency to an unreachable speed. Unfortunately, with my hitch, that would require some modification, as mine is capped at the back, and it would require the whole unit being pushed through the back of the hitch to line up with the hole. I know the first thing that someone's going to say is that I installed this wrong, but I actually drove to their factory in Orange County to pick this up, and they put it on the truck for me, so I think it's on there right. So, can we really justify the price? Well, looking at other hitch-mounted tire carriers specifically, they're anywhere from $1,700 down to $100. The biggest difference is the swing out and the way it works. The cheapest ones have no swing out functionality at all, and if you just need a tire mounted on the back of your car or truck and you're not ever going to use the rear tailgate, then get one of those. Beyond that, there are ones that are from $200 to $700, and these are the kind that fold downward, which means that you're going to have to lift everything that is on that rig every time you want to fold it back up. And also, it might not fold down far enough to clear your tailgate. To have a swing-out hinge mounted half a truck's width away from where it's actually connected to your truck means that the rig has to be beefy, and this is. Companies like Wilco make these for about $1,000, and I've seen beefier ones go up to about $1,700, so this is kind of right in there. For my truck, this is the perfect size. The hinge is right outside my tailgate, and the entire unit is almost exactly the length of my bumper. A bumper-mounted unit would have definitely been better for departure angle, but this is good if you're going to do light to medium off-roading, and if you just want to look cool with a tire carrier. This is also going to put more weight out the back than the bumper-mounted style, and it's not going to hug as tightly to the rig. If you're judging it by my saggy suspension though, don't, because my rear leaves are pretty shot, and it looked like a Carolina crawler before this video, so... Overall, I'm pretty impressed. Yes, it is a chunk of change, but this really changed my truck for the better. My truck doesn't really have any mods, at least outwardly, and this not only gave me some extra functionality, but really changed the look of my car for the better. At first, I was kind of weirded out that it didn't have any recovery points, but then I realized you can put just about anything in that 2-inch hitch. The hitch receiver is rated to 10,000 pounds, which is way more than my truck will ever pull, and honestly more than it'll ever weigh. I think honestly right now this is one of the strongest parts on my truck, and I definitely recommend it, but only to people who are going to get a lot of use out of it. If you're just trying to get a tire mounted on the back of your car to look cool, there are cheaper ways to do that, and if you are really serious about off-roading, you're probably going to want something with a better departure angle and that gives you rear armor anyway. This is going to be for people who are going to be in and out of the back of their truck often for work or whatever, while still wanting to relocate all their off-roading gear. Also, this is a great way to get all your fancy overlanding gear on your rig without any bed racks or bolt-ons. Everything about this can be transferred to my next truck with no tools or modifications. I've only had it a little while, so I want to see what happens when the hinge or latch wears out, but so far Rig Supply has been a great company to work with. They've been super communicative, and I think they're going to do right by me. Thanks for watching. I'm going to try and do more product reviews on this channel, so if it's off-roading stuff with the 4Runner, track stuff with the Yaris, or even the cameras that I use to film everything, you're going to see more of those here. Thanks very much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next video.